friends, welcome to the channel Jane Reads. My name is Jeanette and today I am going to be playing my TBR refresh board game to set my TBR for the month of February. But before we get into that, let's review my January TBR. I am usually pretty good about following my TBRs, so in past TBR videos, I have not talked about the previous month's TBR and how I did on that. I'm going to try to do that this year just as a reminder of what I got and how did I do. Okay, so I do not own all the books physically, and we're going to try to go through this. I do have my list here to remind me what the books were for. Okay, so the first book was randomly picked by Goodreads, and that was Fallout by Carrie Stewart Parks. Then we've got a reread, and I picked A Distant Melody by Sarah Sundin. Book from NetGalley was Witness Protection by Robert Whitlow. Then a self-destruct book, and I picked The Story People by Heather Kaufman. Then I had a random letter author, and I spun the wheel for a letter. I got P, and I picked Carrie Fansett Pagels. As you can see, this one still has a bookmark in. I'm currently reading it. I do expect to finish it today, probably. Then my next one was a random genre spin. I got historical suspense. I kind of stretched this a little bit and picked In Spotlight and Shadow by Rachel Scott McDaniel, which is a dual timeline with kind of a mystery going on in the historical aspect. I mean, there's a mystery in the contemporary as well. But then roll number 7 was a book purchased pre-2020, and that was a book for my Kindle, Protecting Her Daughter by Lynette Eason. And then for my end spot is my 26 and 26 wheel, and it chose When Stars Light the Sky, which is book 2, or by Elizabeth Camden, which is book 2 of the Women of Midtown series. So then I had to add While the City Sleeps, which is book 1 of that series by Elizabeth Camden. So I had to add that in order to get to my 26 and 26 book. It just happened to be that While the City Sleeps was also a 26 and 26 book. So out of all the books on my TBR, I have read them all except for Behind Love's Walls, which I am currently reading. Okay, so for the month of February, we have the Once Upon a February Readathon that is going on, that is hosted by Taylor from Tales and Treats with Tay, along with a bunch of other ladies, so I will link that announcement video below. I am going to try to participate in this as much as I can. I'm not a big fairy tale retelling person. However, and you do not have to read fairy tales for this readathon. If you're a regular books fit, that is fine, but they want you to read at least one fairy tale retelling. And my plan is to read at least one fairy tale retelling, because for my Christian fiction bingo, my 2 February prompts are a fairy tale retelling or a book with a subtitle on the cover, but I'm going to try to do the fairy tale retelling. And then prompt number 2 is a book with heart in the title. So those are the 2 that I'm going to be keeping in mind. Then there is also happening for a week in February, the mini deck of TBR that is hosted by Bekah and Chloe. I am not using that to set my TBR for this month, but I will be participating. So I'm kind of hoping for a smaller TBR right now because it is a shorter month, and I would like to draw cards later to participate in mini deck of TBR. So we'll see what happens. And so normally the prompts that I get from the previous month, I do not add back into my deck pile because I have 126 prompts in that right now. So, you know, to kind of rotate through prompts, I don't want to be getting the same ones all the time. However, I am going to add back in the From NetGalley prompt because I have a bunch of books on NetGalley right now that I got in January that I would like to get to reading of them. And previously I only had one book when I first got this prompt, and now a lot more being added. So I'm going to put this one back in the deck. The rest of them I'm going to leave out for now. Okay, let's start playing and start setting up the TBR. Give these cards a quick shuffle. There's too many for me to shuffle them all at once. Oh. Okay. My little guy starts up there. Got the dice, and let's roll. Roll number 1 is an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the first prompt is the or of in the title. So the first prompt was the or of in the title. And that is really easy. This one gets the fairy tale retelling that I was thinking about reading on. So it is A Change of Heart by Madisyn Carlin. It is book 1 of the Hearts of Avarian series. I don't know how to say that. And it says all Josephine wants is to prove herself worthy of one day taking over her family's bakery. Then we've got Detective Caden wants to prove himself worthy of his family's legacy. And it says A Change of Heart is a Christian fantasy novel with Cinderella vibes. So we'll see. I'm a little concerned about the fact that it's fantasy, but it is a Cinderella vibes, so it's a fairy tale retelling, and it fits that one. It also fits the second prompt of Heart in the title. So we'll see how it goes. So that is going to be book number 1. Roll number 2 is a 4 and a 5. That's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, can't have my guy backwards. There we go. And the next prompt is title starts with the first letter of the month. Ooh, so it needs to start with an F. The next prompt was title starts with the first letter of the month. So I'm going with F because I'm doing February's TBR. And I actually had 2 books that are on my 26 and 26 that start with F. I have For Such a Time by Kate Breslin, so historical fiction. Then I have on my, I was going to say on my Kindle, but it's not on my Kindle. I have a bind up of it. So this is 2 books in one. And it is Following the Trail by Lynette Eason. And I'm kind of like, So we've got historical and romantic suspense. But this one is shorter than this one. This one's kind of a little bit chunky. And I kind of want a smaller TBR. So I'm thinking I'm going to pick this one. So it is a bind up in here. And Following the Trail says, Lacey's Jefferson's search for her missing sister quickly turns into a murder investigation, thrusting Lacey and her search and rescue canine, Scarlet, into a killer's sights. Now teaming up with her ex-boyfriend, Sheriff Creed Payne, is the only way to discover the murderer's identity. But can they survive long enough to dig up the truth? So this one is the one I'm going to add. It doesn't look like it's going to be shorter, but it is only half this book. This is Following the Trail, because this is the other book. So that's what I'm going to pick. Okay, roll 3. It is a 5 and a 3, so 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the next one is last letter to first letter. So the last letter of the book I just chose needs to be the first letter of my next book. The next prompt I got was last letter to first letter. So the last book I picked was Following the Trail. The last letter on here is L. So I need to pick a book that starts with L. And I have 4 options. I have 2 physically. The first one is Lights Out by Natalie Walters. It's romantic suspense, and it is book 1 of her Snap Agency series. It is a series I do want to start. Then the other book is Line by Line by Jennifer Delamere, which is also book 1 of a series, Love Along the Wires. And it's historical fiction, and it's another one I really want to start. And my understanding is this is set in England. Yes, London. I had to find that. But I also have 2 other options. On my Kindle, I have Lake Bride by Shanna Hatfield. This is book 5 of the Holiday Brides series, and it's contemporary romance, and it would finish out this series. It's the only book I have left for this series. Fall in love with a soldier, a nurse, and a small town adventure, brimming with delightful characters, amusing animals, and abiding hope. But the last book I have, oh, that's funny I said last, is an arc I have, and that is Last to Fall by Lynette Blackburn. This is book 3 of the Gossamer Falls series. It's a romantic suspense, and it releases at the beginning of March. So February would be the perfect time to read it. And this is a book that I have been anticipating so much. This should be Bronwyn and Moe's story. I'm very excited about this. So this is the one I'm adding, because as I said, I want to read some of my arcs. So Last to Fall by Lynette Blackburn is the one that's getting added. Okay, roll number 4. And we have 2 4s for an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next prompt. A new to me author. The next prompt I got was a new to me author. And when I first pulled this, I thought, oh, this is going to be challenging, because all the books I have as possibilities for February were either arcs or rereads, books I really wanted to read. And the one that would have been a new to me author, which was the fairy tale retelling, I've already added to this TBR. But then it was like, oh, I haven't read this author. Indigo Isle by T.I. Lowe. And I just learned this morning that this is a fairy tale retelling of Beauty and the Beast. So I'm like, okay, perfect. I don't really know much about this book, really. Actually, I know very, very little about this book. I know that my BFF read it, and then she gave me this copy of it. She enjoyed it. That's pretty much what I know. I've heard people praise it. Storms show up, and there ain't a thing we can do to stop them. Sunny left South Carolina 15 years ago and never looked back. Now she's a successful Hollywood location scout who travels the world, finding perfect places for movie shoots. Home is wherever she lands, and between her busy schedule and dealing with her boss's demands, she has little time to think about the past, until her latest gig lands her a stone's throw from everything she left behind. That's all I'm going to read, because I really kind of want to go into a blind. I happened to see a post on Facebook for the Avid Readers of Christian Fiction group, and somebody is doing fairy tale retellings in February, and they just posted about fairy tales that they have read or retelling books they have read, and this was one of the books included. And I'm like, wait, what? So yeah. Okay, let's go pick our next book. Okay, roll number 5. And we have a 6 and 4, so that's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the next prompt is 2 words in title. I'm really liking that I get these prompts and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be. So the next prompt was 2 words in a title, and I knew right away which book I was putting here, and that is going to be Paper Hearts by Courtney Walsh. It is on my Kindle. It is a reread for me, but it's one of the 16 books that I want to reread this year, and it's set around Valentine's Day, so February is perfect for it. So Abigail would have never guessed that love notes penned on paper hearts by an anonymous couple could restore her belief in love. As a business owner in a quaint town at the base of the Rockies, she's poured everything into dreams of expansion and resisting the matchmaking efforts of the Valentine volunteers who gather in her store to continue Love's Park's tradition of stamping mail with the city's romantic postmark. When Abigail is unwillingly drafted into the volunteers, she encounters the paper hearts, a distraction that couldn't come at a worse time. A hard-to-read doctor has become Abigail's new landlord, and he's threatening to end her lease to expand his practice. What is going to happen? It has been a long time since I read this. Does this even have the date? Yeah, 2016, August of 2016. So 9.5 years ago. Will I remember it, and will I enjoy it as much as I did the first time around? We'll see. Okay, roll number 6. Another double 4, so 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the next prompt is a book purchased in 2022. Okay, so the next prompt was a book I purchased in 2022. This was not a book I could easily think of immediately, so I had to go to my spreadsheet to see what books I purchased in 2022. And I only had 3, so I didn't have a ton of options here. And those 3 books are Death at Thorburn Hall by Juliana Deering. This is book 6 of the Drew Farthering Mysteries series. I am not at book number 6 yet, so I can't read this. And then I have Where Hope Begins by Catherine West, and it's not at the top of my list right now. I bought this because Christine read it and enjoyed it, and it sat on my TBR for a while. So, I mean, I should read it, but the third option is Desperate Surge, which is the bind up with the 2 books. So Following the Trail is in this one. The second book is Dangerous Mountain Rescue by Christy Barritt. And because I already have book 1 in this bind up on my TBR, I'm going to add book 2 so I can just get this book completely read and I don't add this back to my unread TBR shelf. So that just seemed like a obvious choice which one of the 3 to choose. So Dangerous Mountain Rescue by Christy Barritt. We are following Erin will search every inch of the mountains to find her missing teen daughter, even with someone dead set on stopping her. I was thinking it was something dead. Oh my gosh. Even with someone dead set to stop her. Teaming up with search and rescue canine handler Dylan and his dog Scout is her only chance at living long enough to see her daughter again. And then I can't read the rest because the sticker's over top of it. But that tells me enough. We're looking for a missing daughter. So we'll see. Okay. And now I'm only 5 spots from the end. So can I get there in the next roll? Okay, roll number 7. Will I make it to the end in 1 roll? Yes, I will. A 6 and a 4 is 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I need to spin my TBR wheel to see what book from my 26 and 26 I'm going to get. Okay, so here is my 26 and 26 wheel. I have updated it with the books I read in January, so now there's only 23 left on here. But I've added 2 that are already on here to my TBR, so let's see. So right now they're alphabetical, so I could remove the ones that I'd read. So let's shuffle 3 times just because, and let's spin. Really? Really? It came up with Christmas Captive. So I made it to the end, I spun my wheel, and I got Christmas Captive by Liz Johnson. I'm not too excited about reading a Christmas book in February, but I mean, February is better than June, July, right? Like we're closer to Christmas this way than we would be later. And this will finish a series for me. It is book 6 of the Men of Valor series. And Liz Johnson is an author I want to read to zero. And I only have 2 of her books, and this is one of them. So I guess it just makes sense. So we've got Sabotage at Sea. On his cousin's Christmas cruise wedding, Navy SEAL Jordan Somerton anticipated having the typical best man duties, not facing down criminals boarding the ship. But when the luxury liner is infiltrated by men determined to kidnap the flower girl, he's plunged into an unexpected mission. Maid of Honor and DEA agent Amy DeLego hasn't forgiven Jordan for a misunderstanding in their past. But when her young niece is targeted, she must draw on Jordan's skills as the protector. Signs point to an inside job. With a traitor in their midst, can they ensure that every passenger returns home safely for the holidays, even as they find love amid deepening danger? Okay, I'm okay with that. I mean, because this book fits a couple things that I want are on my goals list. Okay, so let's review the books that I got. I only got 2, well, I guess 3 physical. So I got 7 books. The first one is A Change of Heart by Madisyn Carlin. That is my fairy tale retelling. Then I got Following the Trail by Liz Johnson, which is not Liz Johnson, Lynette Eason, which is in this bind up. It's a romantic suspense. Then I got an anticipated release. That was not the prompt, but it fits. And Last to Fall by Lynn H. Blackburn, which is book 3 of the Gossamer Falls series. Then new to me author, Indigo Isle, T.I. Lowe. 2 words in the title, Paper Hearts by Courtney Walsh. So this will fit my heart in the title for my February prompt. Then I got purchased in 2022, and I picked the second book in here, which is Dangerous Mountain Rescue by Christy Barritt. And then my last book is Christmas Captive by Liz Johnson, which is also a love-inspired suspense. So I got 3 love-inspired suspense books. So I would think this is a fairly short TBR, so we'll see what happens. And so for the Once Upon a February prompts, a book with a journey. Well, Christmas Captive, they're on a cruise, so I think they're on a journey. Has an animal. These are canine books, so at least one of these will work there. A new to you author, Indigo Isle. Your favorite genre, that's romantic suspense. So I could have put Last to Fall by Lynn H. Blackburn. Middle spot is A Free Space. Then has a subtitle. Oh. T.I. Lowe's book, a novel, has a subtitle. Something Beautiful. I don't know. I don't know yet. Yeah. Godmother, a content creator recommendation. I'll have to think about that one too. And then a book I meant to read last year. Maybe Indigo Owl, because this book was gifted to me in December of 2024. So I really should have read it last year. So this works for quite a few prompts on that board. So we'll see. So those are all the books on my February TBR. Have you read any of these, or are you excited to read any of these at some point? What is on your February TBR? I would love to chat in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today, and I will see you again later. Have a great day. Bye.